Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
Let me tell you, the dopamine, it's flowing.
I am damn excited. Damn excited.
We are so excited to be joining you guys tonight.
Oh!
Well, how you doing, man? Patrick.
Will Sterling.
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion, two-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
And he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week, but until then, as always, go Chiefs.
Welcome into the Arrowhead Addict podcast. This is the Intangibles. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Carter, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend Christian Ainsworth. And Christian, it's been a really, really long time since we've actually had an edition of the Intangibles due to some holidays, due to Monday Night Football. Last time we had talked, I believe, was the Giants game. So it's been a while since we have been together.
Oh, dude, completely different team since we played the Giants, it seems like.
I think honestly that might actually be some just spot on analysis of how different things are from that game, which the Chiefs do end up that they win that Giants game more comfortably, right? Like there was backups getting in the game, but the vibes were so incredibly bad to start off that game at halftime that the difference a couple weeks have made. And by the way, a schedule that looked really tough at that point: Ravens, Jaguars, Lions, and then the Raiders, right? It's been completely different. Total role reversal for this team. And man, oh man, it feels like the Chiefs, and I know that Tony Romo talked about it on the broadcast, at 4-3 now, or 3-3 when they started last week. This team is infinitely more fun and infinitely happier than they were undefeated at this time last year.
Oh, yeah. Well, and to be fair, to give credit to that last year's team, I mean, some different guys on it, and they were in kind of a different situation with the start of the season. But no, dude, if you were watching this team last year, and then if you just went back and watched a random game last year and then watched the game they just played, you're like, dude, are these games 5 years apart? What's the difference here? It has been that stark of a contrast.
Yeah. And, as much as it sucks to say, I 10 times much rather watch my team win a game 41-38 than 17-14. Offense is just a lot more fun. This just in. And boy, howdy. We've gotten lots of it the last couple of weeks. Patrick Mahomes is playing really well. The offensive line's protecting really well. There's lots of really good things to talk about. But at first, we do want to kind of get to some of the breaking news that's happening around the Kansas City Chiefs. It was confirmed by Ian Rappaport. He reported that second round pick Omarr Norman-Lott, the defensive tackle, has officially torn his ACL and will be done for the year. Huge loss. Obviously, first off, in my opinion, was already playing like the Chiefs' second best defensive tackle, not named Chris Jones. And now the Chiefs lose him. And one, tough break for the player who's kind of struggled to stay healthy all year. There were a few injury concerns around him through the draft, dating back to some of his days prior to playing at Tennessee. I believe it was Arizona State where he's at before. There were some injury concerns, but this has now turned into a redshirt year for him. I think there were some encouraging signs that you saw from him, but for now, you just have to kind of plan and move on without him. So that leaves the Chiefs defensive tackle room: Chris Jones, Jerry Tillery, and Derek Nottie. So where do the Chiefs go from here, Christian?
Well, I think it's important you said it. Second best defensive tackle, not named Chris Jones, is not that high of a praise considering the state of the room right now. But I mean, there's some guys on the trade block that I think that they would be interested in going after. And from all reports by, I think it was Diana Rossini, the Chiefs are looking for defensive line help and not, running back or wide receiver, some of these other positions we thought they might go after, which is interesting, but I think appropriate given the certain circumstances of the offense and the defensive line, as you said.
Yeah. Chris Jones was openly advocating from the podium last week to bring in Mike Pennel again. It would be just really, really Kansas City Chiefs to let Mike Pennel walk, not keep him on the practice or not keep him on the active roster to then just send a pick to the Bengals for Mike Pennel. That's something that sounds right up their alley as far as stupid ass planning around the defensive tackle position, because this is like 3 or 4 years running.
Oh yeah, for whatever reason, this just seems to be like the position we can't seem to get right outside of the guy who, is probably a top 5 defensive tackle all time. So you'd think we'd be able to, get some complimentary guys, but that doesn't seem to be the case.
The plan has just never made sense. That's my frustration, is that the plan has just never seemed to make sense. I put on Twitter, Calais Campbell would be someone that I would have some interest in. What are your thoughts on Calais Campbell to the Chiefs?
I mean, he's old as hell, but
stop.
Sure. Yeah, he could be really good.
Alexa, stop.
Alexa problems.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. I was muting myself. Gosh, dang it, how embarrassing.
No, you're good.
Dude,
you're yelling at me.
So if you didn't know, by the way, there's like a massive Amazon outage. That's happening, right? Like, and it's now she's talking. These damn devices, dude. They're having a massive outage, and I set a timer like forever ago. Usually we set timers to make food. Hopefully Richard can edit that out. We usually set timers for food, and I was making some meatballs for lunch, and the timer just now decided to go off like hours later. So that's awesome. So I was hoping that no one could hear it, but I was trying to mute. I muted my audio, but not my mic. Okay, sorry. Calais Campbell. I think that makes a lot of sense. He still has juice in him. Like that would be a huge upgrade over anything that they have. He's on the Cardinals right now. He is a guy who's towards the end of his career. This is the type of guy who like wants to go and get a ring. I think it's very similar to Terrell Suggs. Obviously, he had already had one Super Bowl with the Ravens. He's a name that I think would make some sense. I don't know if the Chiefs would make that type of move. But we will see. So defensive tackle is a huge need. And then something else that me and you have just kind of missed completely as far as a podcast is the Josh Simmons saga, which I said on pregame, and I'll say again, I do not care particularly what is going on with Josh Simmons' personal life. It doesn't impact me as a person. It doesn't impact the Kansas City Chiefs until it starts impacting his on-the-field life. I related it to political views, right? Or something like that. I don't really care what your politics are as a player until it affects your ability to be available on the field. And in the case of Rashee Rice, his personal choices in life impacted his ability to be on the field. And that's when it became a story for me. We are talking right now about Josh Simmons being on the football field, and his personal life in whatever capacity is hindering that. I will say this. We hope everything is okay with him. The Chiefs are doing Josh Simmons no favor by not coming out and talking about this at all, right? Like the speculation is the part that makes this frustrating. It's just that we don't know what we don't know. So any speculation you make while it's speculation, it's not invalid because they just won't come out and tell us. I thought it was noteworthy that they didn't put him on some sort of NFI list. But also Andy Reid today came to the podium and started. He always does this when he does not want to talk about something. He leads off with it right away and basically just said, I'm not going to talk about it. Please stop asking me. Brett Veach is handling it. So Josh Simmons, there's still some questions around him.
Oh, yeah. And there was, pre-draft, there were always some of those concerns. And I think a lot of people on their draft boards had him maybe a little bit lower than others because of the off the field concerns. Now, we didn't have, a complete picture of what all those things were. And I don't think we'll, get a complete picture of what's going on with him right now. Honestly, I think that, kind of speculating on what's going on is kind of stupid. It's like we have no idea. You can be pissed at him. You can be, sending prayers his way. It really doesn't matter other than the Kansas City Chiefs don't have their starting left tackle, which, if you watch Jaylen Moore over the past couple of weeks, he's been okay, above average, maybe even, but there were definitely some times where, we would like to see our first round pick out there playing. And I can understand how that can be frustrating too.
Yeah, I'm not going to chalk this up to, because the word that was described by some draft analysts, people are really in the know, that was maturity concerns. And I'm not even going to connect those dots because we truly don't know, right? Like if
100%.
If it ends up being a family member that's on their deathbed or something like that, that's not maturity issues. That's a serious situation. So we'll let it be there. Just be glad that Jaylen Moore is here and he's he's made himself a valuable commodity to this team. So that's valuable. So that's really kind of the two newsy things that came out of today's press availability. We probably won't see the Chiefs back on the practice field until Thursday, since there's Monday Night Football. Also newsworthy, it looks like Jayden Daniels will probably not play in that game. He was grabbing at his hamstring. He did not finish that game. Marcus Mariota, the Commanders are spiraling here, by the way.
Yeah.
This is not going well for them. They were to me, the most obvious, like, regressing to the mean team. They won several of their games late in the fourth quarter. They were a team that kind of, their offense was completely brand new with Daniels, with Kingsbury. It caught a lot of teams off guard. They had a last place schedule from where they finished the year prior. Now they're playing a first place schedule, or a second place schedule, make it to the NFC Championship. And I mean, listen to what they have. They're 3-4 right now. They just gave up 44 points to the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions are their next 3 games. That's not looking great, especially whenever especially if you're factoring in without their quarterback. I saw a comment in the chat here. Two former Chiefs, could they trade for Turk Wharton or Colin Saunders? Colin Saunders, much more palatable, much more likely, because he's been a healthy scratch some weeks in Jacksonville. Tershawn Wharton just signed a big extension. They would not be able to survive that cap wise. So I would add Colin Saunders to the short list. Especially because, I mean, his brother's a dancer for Taylor Swift, right? Like Patrick Mahomes is setting highlight videos to her new album, like the vibes that they stay high. The queen, she gets what she wants, okay? Speaking of getting what you want, you need to get your action going on Underdog for tonight's Monday Night Football doubleheader. That means there's 4 teams that you can pick higher or lower than and build an awesome Underdog card. Today, you can get a free $5 entry. So I've got 2 cards going for tonight. My $5 entry is what I always like to do. This is a lottery ticket, right? So I'm putting like 8 things together. If it wins, I'm winning a bunch of money. Then I've got another $10 play. Here's what I have going tonight on Monday Night Football. Higher Baker Mayfield pass yards. That banged up secondary, Brian Branch watching from the sidelines because he got to sucker punch Juju Smith-Schuster. Higher than 19.5 rushing yards for Baker Mayfield, higher than 43 rush yards for David Montgomery, higher for Jamison Williams. You're seeing a trend here. I'm thinking shootout. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown score. If you want to get in on the action with that free play, or you can even use the 40% profit boost. That's what I'm using on my other card. You can use both and play 2 different cards at the same time. It's a lot of way, and playing on, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of way to make the games easier. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, or more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Download the app today and sign up with our promo code Arrowhead Addict. That's all one word to score $100 in bonus funds or entries when you place your first $5 bet. That's promo code Arrowhead Addict. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 18 years or older, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present where a state in Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.npcgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. So we've talked about this and getting into the game a little bit against the Raiders. I mean, you're just not going to see a game be dominated like that. I mean, there have been 4 games in NFL history where one team gains 30 or more first downs, and the other team only gets 4 first downs. By the way, 0 rushing first downs in this game for the Las Vegas Raiders, 2 passing first downs for the Las Vegas Raiders, and 1 via penalty. Like, that's bonkers. So
Atrocious.
a level of domination you're just not gonna see very often. And also I just love, and hey, I said this too, so you can tell me I'm an idiot or I was wrong. the Raiders have adults in the room. Like it's the classic stepbrothers. Like, the tuxedo seemed a little fuck up now, right? Like where they're doing the group interview. Like at first it's like, oh, well, Tom Brady's going to be there. And he's in there now. And now they're bringing in Pete Carroll, and Pete Carroll's trading for his quarterback with Seattle, Geno Smith, and they're drafting a running back 7th overall, and Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer. They're going to play all this 12 personnel. It's like, now the tuxedos are a little messed up. Because this plan does not make sense, and it looks even worse on paper. You're bringing in Chip Kelly from Ohio State, keeping Patrick Graham, the defensive coordinator, and then just no talent on that team defensively outside of Max Crosby. And then the whole Christian Wilkins thing. I mean, it's a nightmare and a half for Raiders fans.
Oh, well, that and their, top 1 and number 2 weapons were injured. So Brock Bowers, that guy who you think I can lean on, that's our Travis Kelce, doesn't end up playing in the game. And then Jacoby Myers, their wide receiver, is also unavailable, kind of a game time decision for him. So it was, if you were going into that game with any confidence and you saw both those guys weren't going to be on the slate, I could imagine, it being a long day for you as a Raiders fan.
Yeah. And some teams, when they are without their top 2 weapons and their left tackle, they go to the Super Bowl. And some teams, when they do that, they have one of the worst performances in NFL history. So built diff, the Kansas City Chiefs are. But look, we want to talk about what is behind this offensive resurgence. And we're not just going to do the surface level of analysis of like, oh, hey, they got their weapons back. Because obviously Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice are taking this to a next level. But there's a lot more to it. In fact, one thing that I posted that I think is really noteworthy and kind of really tells the story of what is changing here with this offense beyond just the talent level is what the Chiefs are doing with the formation package. Despite having Rashee Rice, Hollywood Brown, and Xavier Worthy available for the first time this season, the Chiefs played less 11 personnel. So that's three wide receiver sets than the Raiders at 48%. Their season average entering today's game was 50%. So the Chiefs actually put more tight ends, more heavy personnel on the field. And I think you saw that 2 chunk gains to Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. The Chiefs are doing a lot more to make this offense usable and explosive than just wide receiver talent.
Well, important to note on that stat too, I think that might be influenced a little bit by that huge lead we got up to in the first half. And so you could see that bumped up a little bit more. But I agree, that first half, when you saw that fake sort of wide receiver running back gadget guy screen to Brashard Smith where they had Noah Gray over the top on the outside, it's like that to me is prime Andy Reid. It's like get a guy out there who's averaging, I think, the most yards per touch for rookie running backs this year, and then fake it to him and go over the top to old reliable. That's peak Andy Reid, and I think that once we see that become more and more effective, we'll continue to see it throughout the rest of the year.
So I think if we're going to talk about what is one of the biggest reasons why this offense is going the other direction, I think you have to start with the pass protection. And really just the offensive line in general. Even with the Josh Simmons dialogue that's going on right now, the left side of the offensive line is not a concern anymore. Like there was a point there where it looks like Kingsley Suamataia was a little bit shaken up after an extra point. And I was legitimately concerned to lose Kingsley Suamataia because he has been playing so well. And both Jalen Moore and Josh Simmons have acquitted themselves well, which I think look, we wish Josh Simmons the best. But if there is some good news coming out of this game, it's that next year you feel even more confident about the ability to step away from Juwan Taylor from what you've seen from Jalen Moore so far. So the pass protection, and I think Creed Humphrey's having a good year. Hopefully Trey Smith's back was just precautionary because he's been having a great year. And Juwan Taylor, I think this is his 3rd or 4th consecutive game without a penalty. The offensive line is playing much better. You're getting much better versions of some of the players that were on this line last year. And you cannot ask for more from what you've gotten from Kingsley Suamataia and the left side, whether that be Simmons or Moore.
Oh, yeah. And you go back to that week 2, week 3 stretch for Kingsley where it was really, really bad. I mean, he had a pass blocking grade of 33.8 for both weeks. I mean, that's tough to play through, especially as an offense who was struggling at the time without their weapons. That's just not something that can happen. But you look at what they've done to improve, and I took out Kingsley Suamataia, or not Kingsley. I took out Josh Simmons for my next couple of stats here. But the average PFF grade for offensive linemen for the Kansas City Chiefs outside of left tackle. So you're just looking left guard, center, right tackle. went up from 74 for the average grade from weeks 1 to week 5, or week 4, excuse me, up to 77 for weeks 5 through 7. And that's a major improvement. I know that seems like, 3 points. It is not that much. But when you look at the improvement of the guys on the left side of the line, even Creed Humphrey playing a little bit better later as the season, and then Jawan Taylor not making those mistakes, like you said. This is an offensive line that has taken, instead of just tiny baby steps forwards, leaps and bounds to get better this season. And you assume Josh Simmons will be back at some point. As soon as he gets back in the mix, I see this as a top 10, top 15 offensive line in the league. And, that shouldn't be controversial to say.
Yeah. And I think kind of taking this the next step, Patrick Mahomes is playing much better than he was last year. And I think it's reasonable when you look at what he had as pass protection, what he has at wide receiver the last couple of years, that he didn't trust the protection. He didn't trust the receivers. And I thought, to the chagrin of PFF, who gave Geno Smith a higher passing grade than Patrick Mahomes yesterday, which I will not enter that dialogue because it's not worth my valuable oxygen. Patrick Mahomes was doing some heat checks, right? Like he was feeling himself. He's running past the right hash and throwing it all the way to the left hash for a contested Xavier Worthy catch, which, by the way, he made. He continues to be Mighty Mouse in those situations. And then, several heat checks from Patrick Mahomes, the no-look pass to Rashee Rice. He trusts the protection more. And I think we are seeing now, like, obviously, we're hopefully in the middle part of Patrick Mahomes' career. Tackle play probably matters more than guard or interior play. Right now, this team is very invested in the interior offensive line with Humphrey and Smith, but tackle above all else, because his ability to step up in the pocket when he hit that post route to Tyquan Thornton late in the third quarter, him just stepping up into that green grass and dropping that in the bucket, that is what he's at his best at. And also that complements what some of his best skills are, which are throwing off platform, throwing on the move. He can evade the rush better that way than if the pocket's getting collapsed on him. So I definitely think we're getting a much better version of Patrick Mahomes. And obviously, I tweeted this out too. His time to throw has been very low. We've seen that from some of his bad games too, that he's just getting rid of the ball so quickly. But the difference is now is obviously he's got guys who are winning quickly. Being able to win quickly translates to mitigation of pass rush. It also translates to great receiver play. He completed 18 of 22 passes with a time to throw of 2.5 seconds or less for 129 yards and all 3 of his touchdowns. He averaged a time to throw of 2.27 seconds. That's the quickest in a single game in his career.
Yeah, well, and just to speak to that, you said his name a second ago, Tyquan Thornton, one of those guys that you talk about getting weapons back. This is not a weapon that he got back. This is somebody who has been on the roster and been active during the preseason and even during training camp where we were down there. Tyquan Thornton has just been that guy, that the sort of Justin Watson type of player where it's like, hey, I need to find somebody. Let's go to old reliable third and Tyquan, and he's going to be there. And he's not going to win the same way as Justin Watson, but he is one of those guys that Mahomes trusts to make those catches, to make those plays deep down the field. And I think that's added to his confidence. Like you talk about having Xavier Worthy back and how he can stretch the field, or Rashee Rice and how he's going to feast over the middle and be that kind of red zone guy. Tyquan Thornton seems to be the piece that has really cemented himself in the offense as a wide receiver 3/4 and somebody who Mahomes can rely on, which you talk about him playing better. Part of that's up to confidence with his weapons. Tyquan Thornton is that guy he can rely on.
Yeah. And all those guys have been a big part of it. And I will also say that kind of reinvesting in the run game, part of the problem with the run game early in the year was not only that it wasn't effective, it also was unimaginative, and it felt like they weren't really kind of letting people get going. We've seen a better version of Isaiah Pacheco because I think they've given him a little bit more opportunity to carry the ball. And I think we're seeing a little bit more inventive nature in the run game. And honestly, in the play calling in general, I don't know about you, but I have felt more of the kind of like, oh, there it is. There's the gotcha moments. Like something that has been a nice Andy Reid what's the word I'm looking for? Andy Reid trend this year with play calling has been these tunnel screens. Basically what it is that you set up a screen in the middle of the field or the far end of the field, and then on the short end of the field you run a screen. So then basically the players cutting across field into a screen. They've used this with both Juju Smith-Schuster and Brashard Smith, another Texas staple that he has stolen from Steve Sarkisian. You saw the spinner, I believe, what do they call it? The Montana spinner or the Montana tornado, where they do that. Basically Mahomes like spins around 3 times, like fake handoff, turn around. Like we're seeing more innovation into the offense here too. And I just keep coming back to, I don't know what it's from, but there's some quote about, it's a sports quote, and it's like, I got my joy back. And I think it's just like Andy Reid, like, I got my joy back, right? Yeah. That the spark is back in the offense. And we've seen Brashard Smith really become an element in the screen game. He almost never goes down on first contact. He is always popping the ball for 3 or 4 more yards. I still question his ability to just be an every down running back, but having that option in the screen game, and if they can just get him going a little bit more in the traditional passing game where they line him out wide, they've used him as a wide receiver screen. They've used him in those tunnel screens. They've used him in a traditional halfback screen. I think that they're just really finding great roles, but the run game is the thing that I come back to, where they're just getting enough out of Isaiah Pacheco. They're getting enough out of Kareem Hunt, and then Mahomes with his legs. And then like you can count on at least 1 or 2 11, 12-yard carries by Xavier Worthy every week. Like those will generate it. It cannot be stated enough how important just making the run game viable has been.
Well, yeah, and that was one of my factors as well, was this improved run game. And I think you have to look at Isaiah Pacheco. Gave him a lot of shit early in the season for not doing as well as he probably could have. And I think some of those concerns are still there. But when you have Mahomes under center and you're allowing them to, run some of this duo, run some of this power, run schemes where Trey Smith, Kingsley Suamataia are putting their hands in the dirt and just being road graders going forward, that helps out Isaiah Pacheco a lot, especially when you give him a lot of space. We saw Mahomes under center with Isaiah Pacheco like 5 to 7 yards back, which for a running back is, perfect for you. You get to see the entire offensive line. You get to see the blocks develop, give you that extra half a second to kind of read it and make a break, depending on which direction, the play goes. And Isaiah Pacheco stats have gotten better because of that. 3.97 yards per carry for weeks 1 through 4, 4.24. That's above league average for Isaiah Pacheco for weeks 5 through 7. So that's something where we have tangible evidence. Hey, Isaiah Pacheco is getting the ball. He's running it better and he's getting more opportunities. Now, I think you and I both would still like to see them make a move for a Breece Hall or a Travis Etienne or Devon Achane. But that becomes less of a necessity with Isaiah Pacheco getting a little bit better and Andy Reid being more inventive in the run game.
Hard to believe stat of the day. Last year, the Chiefs ranked 32nd in the NFL, dead last in 10-plus yard rushes with 33. This year, they currently rank 5th or 6th with 25 10-plus yard carries. So they are close to eclipsing that mark through this point of the year, and it's week 7. Now, is that partly a Patrick Mahomes stat? Is it partly an Xavier Worthy stat? Yes, it is. But we've also seen more explosiveness from Kareem Hunt, more explosiveness from Isaiah Pacheco, and I think that there's some left there for Brashard Smith too. So I feel very comfortable. I would look at that stat more of where they rank in the league rather than the raw number, right? The raw number 33 to 25, but they're 6th in the league. Like you listen to some of the teams that are in front of them as far as it goes, the Commanders, the Bears, the Broncos, the Ravens, the Colts. Like these are teams that have explosive ground games and they're really doing it. And let me check here. Last I checked, they're 3rd in the NFL in EPA per rush, behind only Jonathan Taylor's Colts, who's going insane, and the Bills, who have Josh Allen and James Cook. So like the ground game is viable.
Oh yeah. Well, and some of that is going to be kind of fluky, right? With that Kareem Hunt run where he had early in the season where he got to like 15 or 20 yards. You're probably not going to see that again later in the season, but there is part of it, like you said, where you have to give some credit to Andy Reid here and how inventive he's been in the run game. I think weirdly, we're in a situation where Andy Reid has devoted more time to that aspect of the offense because he has to. You know what I mean? I think there's something to be said about Isaiah Pacheco not playing up to snuff, and Andy Reid going, okay, I've got to, spend a little extra time this week. Let's get a little creative in how we're going to run the football. And the Chiefs have had, the offense has had the benefit of that.
Yeah, and to the credit of someone here in the chat, they asked about, how much of those are Patrick Mahomes. A lot. First off, like when it comes to EPA per play, quarterback scrambles are far more impactful than running back plays traditionally, because a lot of times they're running for first downs, they're running to meet success rate. Patrick Mahomes is third in the NFL in EPA per rush. The two players in front of him, Baker Mayfield and Jalen Hurts. So that tells you like the viability and the importance of quarterback scrambles. But that's part of Patrick Mahomes' game. And if I have to sit here every year and his last 2 years and listen to Ravens and Bills fans tell me like, oh, well, total yards, like, okay, well, then it counts for Patrick Mahomes too, who is amongst the league leaders in quarterback rushing yards and touchdowns. So it matters for them too. So we can't rule that out.
Oh, yeah. Well, and, we'd be lying if we said that Patrick Mahomes' run game was not an important part of his offensive play style. But I think it's also important to remember these times that he's running the football, these are not quarterback designed runs either. And so he's getting these opportunities to get 12, 15, 10 plus yards on these quarterback scrambles. I'm not sure that any other running back is doing anything like that comparably besides Baker Mayfield, who has, done a very, very good job of getting outside the pocket and being elusive out there. I think it's important to remember, though, with this Andy Reid offense and the high volume of passing with Patrick Mahomes, this is how you're going to get rushing yards. This is not ever going to be an offense that has a running back that has 25 plus yards per carry. Some of that is going to be based on Patrick Mahomes running the football. So as much as we'd like to take away some of the credit for Andy Reid and the improved run game, I think it's important, we contextualize it. Part of the run game is Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like the last thing that I just want to talk about here is I would love to see this defense or this offense be tested against a good defense. But looking at the Chiefs' schedule, I'm not exactly sure when that comes. So the Commanders are coming in here. They just gave up 44 points to the Cowboys. The Bills, an objectively bad defense. They have been brutal all year. The Broncos, that is the team. Like, they're a good defense, but also they, were in a shootout with the Giants, and good for them on coming back. But that's probably the best defense on their schedule. The Colts, that secondary can be had. I do have respect for Lou Anarumo. I do have respect for DeForest Buckner, Latu, but I don't look at that and say that's a great defense. I think it's an acceptable defense, an average defense. The Cowboys are dreadful on defense. The Texans are a good defense. Chargers, again, right now they're an average to maybe slightly above average. Tennessee Titans, terrible. Broncos, again. Raiders, come on now. So, like, my point is, like, I'm not really sure how many tests are left on the schedule for this offense. It might be defensive proof. Obviously, the two games against the Broncos, I think those are going to be the toughest, not only because they're a good defense, but also because there's a familiarity. They're the division opponent. And I'm interested to see what the Texans look like, because the Texans can really crank up the pressure. They have a really good corner. Like, they're going to want to put Stingley on Rashee Rice and make those other guys beat you. But even then, like, they are going to just abuse their linebackers, which is what they did with Travis Kelce in the playoff.
Oh, well, it's kind of weird too. There hasn't really been any defenses on the AFC side that have been just stifling, other than, the Texans. And I mean, you look at teams like the Browns, who have had historically great defenses and had a pretty good defense this year. But all those other teams like Patriots, you would think would have a great defense. Not fantastic. Bills, the same way. Not great. Jets, kind of mediocre. Broncos, better than average, as you said, but not necessarily that, impressive defensive unit we were expecting going into the season. Steelers, same thing. Ravens were supposed to be better. They are not at all. Colts, kind of okay. And then, Jags, Titans, kind of middling the teams there too. But it's one of those things where we might not see them go up against a fantastic defense until hopefully the Super Bowl, which would be fantastic. We would love to see that. I just don't see, some of these teams in the AFC, like the Browns or the Broncos, or the Jets even, making the playoffs and being in a position where they have to play the Chiefs. Texans, maybe we'll see if they can turn it on the second half of the season. But again, that's not one of those things where, we're expecting them to make a huge turnaround midseason.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see where it goes. Real quick here, I want to talk to you about our friends over at House of Atlas. If you're still figuring out gifts, House of Atlas is a no-brainer gift for your brother, your roommate, maybe even yourself. When someone asks what you want to do and you feel like you just don't want to think about it, you want a gift, their grooming kits make it simple to clean up, and they actually look as good as they do on the counter and feel in your hand. The razor's weighted handle and precision trim edge make it effortless to get a smooth and clean shave every time, something most razors just don't do. And the best part, you can grab them at Target now, nationwide, or online at target.com. I was fortunate enough to get a House of Atlas gift pack in the mail. And, me and my son, we had a touching moment. He wanted to shave with me for the first time. So I give him, the razor that doesn't have blades on it and put shaving cream on his face. We shaved together. And I got to say I've got the orange handle. Really like it. Works really nicely for me. It was a great clean shave, despite me having just a little bit more facial hair than my 5-year-old son. Was not gifted in that area like Christian is. Still was able to clean it up because, my God, if you see my face clean shaven, I'm not sure my wife would talk to me anymore if I shaved. So House of Atlas, they're redefining men's grooming with premium tools and products designed to look good, feel good, and actually perform. Don't forget about that weighted handle. So nice, so easy. It's a clean shave. And don't forget about their shave cream and aftershave too. All these products, they go great. I got a nice gift pack, like I said, worked awesome. And don't forget, again, you can get them at Target. So when you're out, when you're getting all your goodies at Target, getting Halloween candy for the kids, grab you a House of Atlas razor. So don't stress over last minute gifts or settle for shaving products that don't deliver. This holiday season, give yourself or someone on your list the upgrade they deserve with the House of Atlas razors. Grab it at Target stores nationwide or online at target.com. All right, so I wanted to do this just because, we were just kind of having this conversation about who's going to slow down the Chiefs offense and where can they go from here, and looking at the Chiefs schedule, I think it's time for a little bit of a Super Bowl bubble. So Christian, we had some homework. We were to bring teams that we feel like can legitimately go to or win the Super Bowl this year on the AFC and NFC side. And then we put a little caveat on this. In my opinion, when I look at teams that I think can win the Super Bowl, I am asking myself, can this team win 2 to 3 playoff games on the road, outside, in the cold, against good quarterbacks, against good defenses? Because I think winning one playoff game, we've seen some bad teams do that before. And we've even seen a couple of teams string together a couple. But at some point, you're going to have to go outside and play a good team. At some point, you're going to have to face a good quarterback. At some point, you're going to have to come down from a deficit. That is where I think some of these teams, I think about those Titans teams, right? That, went to the AFC Championship. They had to go outside and play Patrick Mahomes. Didn't end up working, even though they did beat Lamar Jackson. I also think about that next edition of the Titans team that lost to Joe Burrow at home as the 1 seed. So that's where these teams get tested. So for my Super Bowl bubble, let's just do this team by team. So Christian, I'm going to say a team, and you tell me if they are in your bubble or not.
Okay. Let's do it.
Buffalo Bills.
Oh, in the bubble. I think obviously in the Super Bowl bubble.
The defense is concerning, but you hope that maybe they can get some of that figured out. I think, Maxwell Harrison, Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunjobi are hopefully all coming back soon. I think you're just hoping that defense gets to respectable, and then maybe they can get their offense to be more explosive in the passing game. We know it's explosive in the ground game, but you're just never going to rule out Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I'll go from give me's, the obvious, obviously you have the Chiefs, right? I'd be shocked if you didn't. Okay.
Yeah.
Eagles.
That's a really, really tough one. I think that you have that sort of Super Bowl contention, but they are, especially since they won it last year, but you do have questions about that defense and about the offense as well, with all the struggles that they're going through. They've got a lot of pressure. I think that they are, very distal to maybe the Super Bowl bubble, but or to being a favorite, excuse me. But I still think that they are by a fraction of a hair in that Super Bowl bubble right now.
To me, they are I'm going to use an analogy. I wish I could say I've experienced this analogy before, but I've not had this type of relationship. But it's like the most toxic hot girl ever, right? Like she's when you guys are fighting, she is horrible, she is nasty, she is mean. It is the worst. But when it's going the best, nothing in the world matters besides that, right? Like it is the most love hate. Like the vibes can go from so high to so low, but they just have the ability to just, we are better than you. We are going to lean on you with AJ Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Jalen Carter. So I agree. There are times that it looks like, oh my God, like, do they need to blow it up? Like, is AJ Brown on the trading block? Is like this going to work? And then like it can look so good. So that makes them extremely volatile. But I do think that the talent is just so high that it's hard to leave them out of the bubble. Buccaneers. Do you have them in your bubble?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I love the Bucs right now. Really, really good team. I love how Baker Mayfield is playing too. That offense is just a little suspect, I would say. But I mean, if you look at all their injuries, it's like, yeah, who wouldn't, be dealing with some issues offensively if they lost their 3 best wide receivers and one of their running backs?
Yeah, they're very injured. The defense scares me more. Like, I just think like the linebacker play is pretty suspect. The pass rush is okay. They've lost Kalijah Cansey. I think the back end is okay. Like Zion McCollum and Anton Winfield have turned into good players. Obviously, Winfield's an all-pro. But I think you're just like, can they do enough on offense? Can they scheme it up on the defensive side? And then, like, what does this look like if they do get Godwin, Bucky Irvin, Emeka Ibuka, Mike Evans, and Cade Otton all on the field together? Like, that's pretty damn dynamic. And Baker Mayfield's playing at an MVP level.
Dude, does part of you still kind of wonder about Baker Mayfield in the playoffs? Because there's a little bit of me that's kind of hesitant. Like, he's playing really well, but
I think like we've seen enough track record to say like him in the system, it's real. Like as far as the productivity goes and stuff, I don't think that he's going to continue to evade the turnovers like he has. Like he, usually is good for like 13 or 14 interceptions. He's just thrown 1 this year. Here's what I think. I think if you have to get in a situation where it's 3rd and 14 and the game's on the line with him, like I would take those chances. But I definitely think he's capable of going toe to toe. To me, he's clearly like that second tier. Like he's not a guy who can, like, let's be clear. The offense has been very well designed. His last 2 offensive coordinators have gotten head coaching gigs because they both have been so good. And the weapons, they're really good. They're like Bucky Irving, Rashard White. That's a really good running back tandem. He's got one of the best left tackles in football. Like there's a lot of supporting cast there, but I think he executes in it very well. Do you have the Packers in your bubble?
I do. And I think part of that is because of unrealized potential. I think you see Micah Parsons, especially in the last game that he played, where he's just putting on a clinic late, and you go, man, if Jordan Love can keep it together, man, if these wide receivers can keep them afloat, if that offensive line can hold up, if Josh Jacobs can still be good and not get injured, you see him and you go, man, that could be an incredible team in the playoffs and a buzzsaw late, which I think is probably what's going to happen. The only thing I'm a little bit concerned of with them is you look at that quarterback spot with Jordan Love and go, man, there's just a lot of questions. We've seen him play well. We've seen him play very, very poorly. I think you kind of are looking at him and going, man, what side of this are we going to get in the playoffs? But as long as he can be a mediocre quarterback, maybe even slightly above average, I think that the Packers have a fantastic shot of being a legit contender.
Yeah, the defense, it's a player or two away from being that elite weapon that we thought that they could be at one point. Like they started out the year, the cornerback spot has got to get better. They're like Najee Johnson, Jalen or Josh Williams. Like I could see them being a Packer at the trade deadline. Like I think the Chiefs have some depth there, considering that they've just been rolling with Christian Fulton inactive. So I think that they could stand to upgrade there. They're very clearly getting picked on there. Nate Hobbs has been, but the linebacker play and the pass rush is so good, and the safety play is good. Like it's close to being an elite unit. And then I believe in Matt LaFleur, the play caller. I think they've got a great ground game. And like you said, like Jordan Love, there's just some volatility there where it's like, it's 3rd and 13. He drops a seam go ball in the bucket of a receiver and layers the throw between the safety and the cornerback. Okay, it's 3rd and 4, and he throws the ball 5 yards or 50 yards down the field for no freaking reason. He goes full Uncle Rico. It's like, I bet I can throw that ball over them. They're mountains. Like sometimes he just has some of those. Like I will always come back to the Jordan Love meme of There's Aaron Rodgers on one shoulder that goes, no, wait about your touchdown to interception ratio. And then there's Brett Favre's and just like, fuck it, we ball. And he's gonna pick one demon. Yeah. He's gonna pick one demon one time, whichever it is. Sometimes it's Rodgers, sometimes it's Favre. But it's a fun team. Lions. Do you have the Lions in there?
Yeah, I think so. I think that offense is humming. I think that there are a lot of good players on that offense that have done really well. You do worry about Jared Goff, especially in the playoffs with his tiny hands. But I think that defensively, definitely some room to improve. I think there's, Aiden Hutchinson could probably be a little bit more effective off the edge. I could see them being active at the trade deadline as well, grabbing another defensive player just to help out there. Those linebackers have not been, as fantastic as they'd like to tell you. Jack Campbell was not a first-round talent, and I think that they're kind of figuring that out now.
For me with the Lions, it goes to, I think the NFC is more wide open because I think there's a lot of good teams in the NFC. Dan Campbell's willingness to go for it on fourth down, the offensive weapons are amongst the best in the NFL, if not the best. And can they get healthy on defense? What does this look like when Terrion Arnold, Brian Branch, all their safeties are on the field? Ali McNeil, I do think that they probably make a move. I think it's a lot closer to they're having to win every game 33-30, but I do think they could make a Super Bowl. Obviously, they've been very close to doing that. Okay, I've gone from least controversial to now more controversial. The Rams.
Ooh, okay. I would say yes, and I think part of that is based on that defense and how well they're playing. Tied for first in points allowed in the NFC. I think that that's a really, really important stat, especially this late into the season. I think offensively, you don't have any questions at all. 175 points for their team this year. You kind of wonder about that running game in Kyren Williams. He hasn't been nearly as effective this year as he has in years past. But Matt Stafford stays slinging it, dude. Father Time has not touched him. He looks fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, the pass rush is ferocious. They've got so many guys who can win there, and I think the offense design is obviously great. They're so good at being able to find creative ways to run the ball. Puka Nacua is playing at a top 5 level. Devontae Adams still has it. I think everything there makes me very confident in them being a Super Bowl team. Minus the cornerback play, I think that can be had at the corner and safety position. They're particularly small in that area. That got exposed in that Eagles game where they just started peppering AJ Brown, and he is just able to go up and sun people regularly in that game. So I think there's some volatility there. Again, that'd be another team like Josh Williams, Najee Johnson. Would they be interested in trading for those type of players? Okay, here we get a little bit more controversial. The Seahawks.
I can't go with you there. Sam Darnold, especially at the end of last year, where you go, man, you had a legit shot and what ended up happening? He kind of shit the rug. There's a real situation where I think there's a distrust of Darnold, and I'm in that same boat. I think defensively they're playing fantastic. Offensively, they're not doing too bad either. I just don't see the weapons offensively. We love Torrey Horton going into the draft.
Jackson Smith and Jigba was playing at a top 5, top 10 level. He's incredible.
Yeah, do not let me discount Jackson Smith and Jigba. But who else is there? Cooper Kupp, who looks like, the corpse of every white receiver you've ever seen play in the league for more than 5 years. He looks ancient. I think the offensive line is doing pretty good, but we're still in one of those situations where I feel like I haven't seen enough. I understand they're 4-2, but when a couple of those wins are against the Jags, the Cardinals, the Steelers, the Saints, you really, really wonder about how good that team actually is.
I think that they have a top 2 or 3 defensive line in the league. They're playing really, really well. And I really like McDonald, the defensive mind there. They've got guys in the secondary. I believe that they can make it to a Super Bowl in the NFC. I agree that they're a little white on weaponry, but I do think Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, nice tandem there. I think they're getting Arroyo going more and more. I think between Kupp and Njigba and some of the mentioned Torrey Horton and some of those guys, I think they just got enough that they can do it there. I think they're a little bit game script dependent, but I do think they can make it. Would I pick this team to win 3 or 4 playoff games in a row to win the Super Bowl? Probably not. But to make it there in the NFC, I think they could, especially when you look at the NFC teams, right? Buccaneers, warm climate. Packers, you're going to have to go play in the cold. Lions, dome team. Rams, dome team. Seahawks, traditionally warm climate. Like, I guess I shouldn't say traditionally, like it can get crappy in Seattle, but, like I think that path is certainly possible. All right. My last two and probably most controversial, Chargers.
I'm going to say no. And part of that's because I'm a Chiefs fan and I love to hate them. But also part of it is you look at the situations that Justin Herbert has been in the playoffs and how he has not delivered, and even late down the regular season stretch. And you really wonder, hey, is this the guy? I think defensively, they've got some issues. 163 points allowed is not fantastic through 7 weeks. Their points for 151. That's not fantastic either. I think that when you look at this team and who they've played, yeah, they had the week 1 stunner against Kansas City. I think that if those two teams played again, which they will, by the way, that this would not be, it wouldn't be a close contest. I think that the Chargers are, sort of collapsing under their own weight a little bit. Injuries are starting to pile up for them as well. I don't believe in Quentin Johnston down the stretch to be able to keep playing at his elite level. And I think that you look at some of the other players on this team and you don't see necessarily the elite players that, you would have at the start of the season. I mean, Joe Alt, that other right tackle, or that left tackle, excuse me, Rashawn Slater. Yeah, Rashawn Slater.
Yeah.
Both down with injury. Don't know if they're going to be back at any point during the year. And you just wonder, man, there are some good teams in the AFC with some good pass rush. It's going to be tough. And I don't know if Justin Herbert's got the legs to do it.
Yeah. So my thinking is like they'll get Alt back next week. He was playing at like a top 5 left tackle level. He was playing.
I didn't realize he was coming back that quickly. Wow.
Exceptionally well. The offensive line is insanely banged up, but if they can get healthy there, they're doing really well in offense with the pass catchers. Like Keenan Allen, like I think he looks much better this year. Clearly, that was more of a Caleb Williams thing than it was a Keenan Allen thing. Quentin Johnston's a better version of himself. We know what Ladd McConkey can do. Aranda Gadsden, tight end, the move tight end out of Syracuse, 156 yards yesterday. Can they get the ground game going when they get what's his name from North Carolina? Kid.
Omarr and Hampton. Are you kidding?
When they get
him, draft Darling, Price. Come on,
I just can't remember his name. It happens. Get him back. Like I the defense is more concerning there, but if they can get it going, maybe some trades. I think Herbert's got that level of talent, and I think like the culture and stuff there is strong enough that I could see it. Do I see them going and winning 3 or 4 games? Like I don't know if I can trust that team to come win a game at Arrowhead. So I have them outside the bubble, just to be clear, but it's pretty close. My last team, probably the most controversial, but looking at the schedule, I think it's possible. The Baltimore Ravens.
Wow, at 1-5, really? I mean, I thought you were going to say like the Patriots or the Colts, like one of these teams that are on fire. But
I do not. So I want to be clear. I do not have the Colts on this list. I think the Colts I think the Colts are exciting. I think they're a great regular season team. I do not see them as a team that can go win 2 or 3 games on the road, outside, when the game script doesn't go their way, etc.
Well, what do you mean that game against the Cardinals, that statement game, didn't sway you? I mean, they let up 27 to the Arizona Cardinals, which I get as a non-conference team, so they don't necessarily have the the book on them yet. But no, I don't think either of us have the Colts as a legit playoff contender.
And it's also the defense. Like the secondary.
Really?
I don't see the guys in the secondary. Like Charvarius Ward's their best cover corner. They've got a lot of other holes in that secondary. I think that they are a very good story, and I think that they could win a playoff game. But to me, I just look at that and say, like, how is this? We constantly say real football is played after Thanksgiving, and I want to see that over the test of time. And keep in mind, like, they're playing a last place schedule.
Yeah, and I think you could say the same thing about the Patriots at this point too. You got to see it past Thanksgiving against some legit contenders. But going back to the Ravens, man, that to me, I mean, you look at the schedule, right? And they're playing the Bears, they're playing the Dolphins, who, by all accounts will have a different offense or a different coaching staff by that week. Vikings, Browns, Jets. then Bengals. Man, it's just a tough slate. And we're in the AFC. I understand this isn't necessarily as strong a division or a conference, excuse me, as it has been in years past. But I mean, when you have teams like the Broncos who are finding ways to win, and the Patriots who, Drake May is playing fantastic, and the Bills and even the Steelers at this point in the season, 4-2. Not that they're going to be a major playoff contender, but teams who are doing really, really well. That's a very, very tough slate for the Ravens, I think, especially with Lamar Jackson being injured going into the second half of the season. You're muted.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure. For me with the Ravens, their schedule is possible.
Baylor sighting. There we go.
The face of
What's
a
up,
boy
bud?
who's supposed to be napping.
Very
clearly
let's go.
not. But yeah, just to kind of wrap it up, like I do still think it's possible with the Ravens because of their defense. If it can get healthy, right? I don't know how many other guys other than Madubuike they've lost for the season, but it's certainly possible for the Ravens to get back in there, especially with their schedule, like you said.
Oh, well, they have a lot of developmental talent as well. Like, those rookies that are supposed to be playing incredibly well that we really liked coming out. Mike Green, other than the off the field issues, was a really, really good player in the draft. So yeah, I could see them making some major strides. It's just a very, very tough slate. Now, if they are a buzzsaw coming into the last 3 or 4 games of the season, I think there's a real situation where they could be dangerous. And when you look at Lamar Jackson and how he's played in the playoffs, I think, you see a dip in production there, but I'm not going to discount one of the greatest running quarterbacks of all time, possibly the greatest running quarterback of all time. I'm not going to discount him from, making a playoff run. But to me, it's that hole is just too deep, man. 4 games back is tough. Actually, 4.5 games back, from first place in the conference. So that's a really, really tough, hole to dig yourself out of.
I almost put the Bengals on here, by the way. Like
I could see that for sure.
If they can stem the tide until Burrow gets back, I could see it, but the defense is just too bad. It's just not good.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So that's going to wrap it up for today on our Super Bowl bubble. So for me, overall, here was my Super Bowl bubble, by the way. Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Chargers, Eagles, Bucks, Packers, Lions, Rams, Seahawks.
See, and I would have swapped out the Chargers for the Bengals. And I would have put in, the Broncos for the Ravens.
I can't get there with as bad what I said about the Bengals offense or the Bengals defense, same for the Broncos offense.
Yeah, but you expect some regression to the mean for the Broncos and how abysmal their offense has been, right?
If by regression to the mean you mean that they can't just keep getting bailed out by going ape shit in the fourth quarter, then yeah.
Okay.
Because they've been bad. They've been objectively bad. So that's going to do it for us today here on the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our excellent producer, Richard, for keeping the show running, even whenever there's outages and stuff, so we can't be on all the social media platforms. And thank you to the diehards who are here in the chat today. It's a great time to be a Chiefs fan. Make sure you're tuning in to every single show we have every day of the week. And as always, go Chiefs.